Brett, let's jump into the MLB because at the top of the podcast, you actually mentioned something that I want to mention about my baseball betting strategy as well as we get into September, because with football starting now, the bankroll situation changes a little bit. As you go through the summer, baseball is basically the only sport you have to bet a majority of the time. So your bankroll is being largely and solely directed at baseball. Now we've just had 2 weekends worth of college football. We have NFL starting on Thursday night with games on Sunday as well. The bankroll is going to be split between some different sports now, especially with the U.S. Open wrapping up with the semifinals going on Wednesday night. That's another spot that splits up the bankroll. So I look at baseball in September very cautiously because you have some teams that are absolutely out of contention. The games don't matter to them at all. You have some teams that are still fighting for something. And then you have other teams where the managers are really focusing on rest days and trying to put their teams in the best positions for at the end of this month when playoff pushes start. So I look at MLB in September really cautiously, and I'll only be taking one, maybe two picks per podcast for the rest of this month, but I still do pay attention to baseball in September, absolutely, because I love betting playoff baseball, betting on series in baseball, betting on the one and done playing games potentially. I love all of the different scenarios that playoff baseball offers you with betting because it's very different than the regular season day to day that you get. So my word of caution to listeners is just pay attention in September, but don't risk a lot of your money. Save that for some football. Maybe just prepare for the playoffs at the end of September.
Yeah, Higgins, I'm glad you're finally done betting on the Twins and the Indians. I mean, I've been trying to get you on this train for a month now. The calendar turns. Here we go. So, welcome aboard, Higgins. Grab a seat. Watch some good postseason races. But, we'll see you in October, baseball.
Absolutely. I was still having faith in my MLB because so far on the podcast, I've been doing rather well. I'm 39, 29, and 4. But you're right, as August has happened, I did hit a little bit more of a slump in my baseball, so it's caused me to kind of reevaluate a little bit. That being said, I do have a pick in episode 163. Like I said, I'll still be making some picks in each of these episodes, but I'm not going to be going 3, 4 picks deep. The game that I'm really looking at, Brett, though, is this Toronto Blue Jays at the New York Yankees, because this is a series that coming through September, there's 5 games left between these two teams. That includes Thursday's matchup. And it's a rather close season series so far. The Blue Jays, they're up 8-6. But in those 6 games that the Yankees have won, they've won by multiple runs. So at first I was looking at this run line with New York -1.5 at home +155. It was tempting me. But if you look at how these two teams have played recently, the Yankees are abysmal. They're 2-8, and the Toronto Blue Jays, they're 8-2. You also look at how they performed overall on the run line, haven't even performed that well either. I think the Blue Jays are just going to win this game outright, actually. They've actually performed rather well on the season when they've been away dogs. They are 28-19 as underdogs. They're 36-33 on the road overall. And when they're on the road as dogs, they're at 500 at 17-18. I just really like, you mentioned how earlier those bats are hot. Semien has been a life and spark plug for that offense. There's been Guerrero, there's been Bo Bichette. That team has just a slew of hitters, and it just takes a few of them to start getting hot. I think they are, and they need to be making this playoff push. They are 12 games out of that AL East right now, which you mentioned earlier. You think the Rays have basically locked that up. I agree. They still have that wild card option, though. They have that possibility. A very talented team with the Toronto Blue Jays that I think deserves to be in the playoffs this year. The Yankees-Blue Jays potentially is a playoff matchup, so it's got that September playoff feel potentially. I really like this one. I think the Blue Jays as the underdogs are going to get it done, though, especially you look at Jose Barrios on the mound. Since he's came over from Minnesota, he's really just pitched well for the Toronto Blue Jays, so I really like him against a guy in Nestor Cortez Jr. that hasn't been phenomenal for the Yankees. He's kind of their fill-in guy so far.
Yeah, I actually disagree, Higgins. I think Nestor Cortez has been one of the Yankees' better pitchers all season long. He's short, like he'll only go 3-4 innings max, but he's been really good. He's had good relief appearances for them as well. So I kind of disagree, and that's a game I might have a different opinion on depending on how the Wednesday night game ends. Currently at this moment, Higgins, and this will be fun for anyone listening, but the Blue Jays are up 4-3 in the top of the eighth. I would have a tough time seeing the Blue Jays sweeping the Yankees in the Bronx. So maybe I would come back and take the Yankees, to quote unquote defend home field. But if the Yankees come back on Wednesday night and win that game, I think your bet makes a lot of sense. I think you're right. Of the two pitchers, I'd rather have Barrios on the mound for sure. But I just had to defend Nestor Cortez a little bit. He's been really good for the Yankees.
That's fair. I mean, I was a little critical of Cortez for someone that has an ERA under 3, but I mean, his role's just really amped up in his past 5 starts, and that's kind of where you see the leaks and some of these runs coming across, because he has been going over 5 innings per outing since the beginning of August. So you're starting to see 2 runs, 3, 4 runs kind of coming across the plate here and there. He still has had an outing or two where he only lets 1 run across the plate, but that's against a team like Baltimore. Toronto's a whole nother animal, I think. So I really like this. I was also looking at that over under at 9.5, but I'm just staying with the money line. I like Jose Barrios on the mound for the Blue Jays, so that's where I'm gonna be. But that's gonna be the only baseball game that I'm on. The other game that I was kind of looking at was the Dodgers versus the Cardinals, but Brett, we have so much data this late into the regular season on a hot team like the Dodgers that it's basically impossible to find some value. I mean, you look if you want even if you want to take the Dodgers to win by more than 1 run, it's minus 120 even though they're on the road. St. Louis, I don't have the confidence in to be able to back them, but I can't take that Dodgers value, and that's the only other game that I was really looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for a parlay partner, I'd probably look to the Braves playing the Nationals. But again, I'm not going to take Braves minus 210 on the money line just solo.
Absolutely, absolutely. A White Sox Athletics game, that should be an interesting one as well, but that's going to keep me away.